Welcome to Experience over Media. Let's get started. Tap to continue. Hello. I am the Artificial Relevance Analyzer. I will help guide you through the immersive space and highlight key aspects of the application experience. All user directives are a part of our patented immersive product anchoring system.
Dante, what are you looking at?
Users can bundle products and sell in their very own virtual storefront. Custom layouts for unlimited product showcases and environmental presentations. Try the live search kiosk, which can find any item listed on places like Amazon. Premium brand signage is guaranteed to bring excitement to marketing campaigns. Stand out and utilize a one-of-a-kind brand identity. Millions of places to choose from within our interactive map system.
All right, folks, let me go ahead and just transition into my slide deck. What you just saw was a first look at some of the components within Experience over Media, or XOM, as I like to call it. And I wasn't sure if I was going to show the demo first or go through my deck and a lot of the documents, but I figured it'd be good just to put it out there and then be able to talk about it with anybody interested in what we're doing here. So I'm your host, Nate Millett, and welcome. Thank you for joining me. And today we are sharing Experience over Media. Let me go ahead and just get back into the slides right here. So what you just saw was a first look at our iPaaS system, the Immersive Product Anchoring System, which is a part of our application. And it really is just a way to virtually and immersively collaborate with products and broadcasts and social media. And so XOM itself, Experience with Media for short, is a mobile application designed to deploy immersive e-commerce, broadcast, and social media experiences. Our immersive product anchoring system is a multi-stage augmented solution that allows anyone to propagate millions of products, media, and content in the digital forefront. Our proprietary system can be utilized as a geolocation anchor or procedurally generated environments from LiDAR scanning, making it versatile and easily scalable for every brand. So just diving a little deeper into that, we created something called an immersive automation process, which essentially is a bunch of functioning states within the system that allows for you to capture environments using the LiDAR, and then configuring the environments with brand identities and themes that match the individuals or companies or people trying to make their own directories to share. And then within that system, we have a lot of different data collection and analyzing that I will share in later detail. But it's important to note that while you're in the systems app, there is feedback, and there's an AI bot and a lot of things that are working with you to help better serve you within the experience. So after you go through all that, we set up a purchasing and distribution system that all automates and takes handoffs from the augmented stuff that you do and deploys it to your location, whether it be on locations through geo mapping or just to a default address. So the app flow methodology is pretty straightforward. Our API system we created searches the web and certain sites for products, and then we do an API call within that to collect the information. And then that information then goes into a database query, so our products are then internal within our system, and then we can mix and match and reference those next time somebody searches something similar, so that there's a product that's in a few different stores. We are able to provide different options for somebody maybe wanting to find the best deal or find a specific kind of item that's only located in that one place. So on top of that, there's also just an anchor system that also allows you to anchor photos and videos, and you can capture and upload those just like you would any other social media feed. And that wasn't really highlighted in the demo only because I haven't shown the social side of this, but it does have a social feed that will be a big part of the application itself. So the user profiling plays a part in that with the shipping and payment settings. And then, like I said before, the environments you can set up are geolocation based, where we actually use mapping systems to place these geo anchors, or using LiDAR to procedurally generate stuff within a room using algorithms or just placements that are preset. There's a lot of different ways we can do that. So just a few more details about what I'm talking about here. We do use LiDAR mapping to scan a room or an environment, and then utilize that environment that we capture and that mesh to place anchors with our iPass system, and we can procedurally generate and save and load those custom layouts to share with people later on. And if you want to learn more about this technology, you can go to apple.com LiDAR, I think is the link that last time I made this slide will work, and it will tell you more about the LiDAR technology that the newer iPhones have within them. And so on that note, just a little bit more detail. We use LiDAR mapping, procedural generation, geo-anchoring to make this stuff happen. And also touching on the different stuff within the environment, customized leg environments can have ad directory systems, live streaming, influencer holograms, e-commerce products, as you saw some of the examples, ML chatbot, and machine learning chatbots, what that stands for, and group hangouts. Some of this stuff is underway, other stuff is working in full force. So as we move along, we will continue to roll out different aspects of this, the components working there. So it's very scalable. We use large market database to save these products, and we also use the extract, transfer, and load method to take external information and then bring it in and save it in our own format so that we can cross-reference and make sure we're giving you information that is up to date but also makes sense within the structure we set. And also there's user-generated content that can also be a part of the stores, and as we roll those out, you'll see those in full force. So there is a social media integration, like I said. You can sign up for the beta, and there'll be a link in the end of this that you can see where you can get that, along with upload photos, comment, share, group calling. You can search for friends, and most importantly, share your XOM directories. The demo I showed you was what I call my Skywalk demo, and it's just an example of kind of floating through space and a lot of cool stuff within that space environment. So that's just considered a directory, and users can have multiple directories of different themes for different storefronts or mini malls or virtual malls, whatever you want to call them. And that's pretty much it in terms of the iPass system. There's a few examples I'll go over real quick that you saw within the demo there. There was our geolocation anchor system, which uses a lot of systems to make it happen. You see some of the companies down in the bottom right that showcase that. And essentially, this allows for us to use the APIs within Google Maps to propagate these products based off of categories or themes, and then we can use other systems to actually funnel the data and information and payment processing and actually get the item to you in real time. How we get it to you in this day and age? Well, there are some methods that autonomously can be a part of that, but with regulations in place, there's a lot of partner programs that will probably help distribute this stuff. But in the end of this, I'll talk about some of that as well. You saw the Amazon Search Anything kiosk, and this is just an example of the API working in full force. You can search stores like Amazon. This one is just Amazon products, but the API is capable of taking from multiple websites and bringing them into the environment. And as you can see here, it shows you the name, the price, the rating, an image, and then we're working on getting 3D models to bring in to enhance the experience that you can interact with and also do a lot of cool things within the XOM environments. So that's down the road. We're working on that because, as you can imagine, with the millions of products out there, you have to streamline a system that allows for you to propagate that stuff in real time. So another thing that we briefly went over that didn't really talk about is we have a Elastic product search, which allows you to filter out products. Say you have a bunch of shoes you're looking for and you want to find a certain type. Within the Elastic search function, we've built in filter systems where you can find certain kind of shoes. And on top of that, there was also something briefly that I showed where we have a customizable jersey creator within XR space within the room. So that's pretty much it in terms of just looking at the pitch. What I want to actually do is I want to actually step back, and I showed you a lot of really cool things and future aspects of what we can do in XR. But what I really think is important is to talk about how we got here as a culture, or I should say a society, whether you're in the United States or around the world. XR is a global thing now with the technology and day and age. And so I decided to put together a little story of what came about in terms of why I built this app out and what it means to me in terms of the timeline of the last 50, 60, 70, maybe even 100 years of innovation between individuals and companies throughout the world. So I'll go through this quick. I know it's kind of wordy, and I also didn't have time to put it into a slide format, but that will probably be the next, and I may even animate this timeline to help tell the story for XOM and also all the others before. So really, to get started in terms of talking about technology and data and just hardware and the whole aspect of what we're all thinking about here is that we have to think about where the idea of like Silicon Valley and technology kind of originated from. And it actually started in 1939 when Hewlett Packard produced their first audio oscillator in their garage. And I should add that this agenda is linked in the video, and you can read along with me, and there's some links in the bottom of it will allow you to have more access to the Experience Over Media documents that are included. So that clickable HP200A link will just bring you to Wiki, and you can look at what that is. But that pretty much set the standard for hardware and the idea that Silicon Valley is the place to innovate and create, and it still is to this day. But because of technology and the resources that are available, anybody in this world can put their mind into something and create something because of the internet, because of the information age, because of YouTube and all the other resources we have available. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to jump forward a little bit, and we're going to talk about the first time data was actually collected. In the mid-50s, people started first observing their customers coming to the stores and what they would shop for and what time of day, so they could actually relate to that individual. Now, whether or not that was demographics like ethnicity, sex, race, age, who knows how in-depth they were, but they did actually notice who was buying what and how they could market to them. And that really started to create this kind of idea that we could collect information from people to better serve them. And so I'm jumping ahead a little bit to when the name Silicon Valley was created, and actually was created from a report from a journalist and called Silicon Valley USA. And it stuck with people, and that's kind of how the revolution of Silicon Valley came into place in terms of what was going on there in the time and the name and the area and the innovation and excitement around what that was. So in the mid-70s is when we started heavily storing stuff on paper, and you can imagine what that'd be like now that before we have hard drives and cloud servers. It was all filing cabinets, a lot of papers stacked up, filed in alphabetical order, and you can imagine after years and years of that, how cumbersome that would be for an individual. So being able to digitize our information and even more importantly, put it on a cloud resource has really served us as individuals to accelerate and getting information in one place and funneling it into a place so we could easily access it, I guess is what I would say. So another 10 years from now, a decade, we started introducing calculators, right? And so, or I shouldn't say we created, somebody invented it. And so a calculator was revolutionary because it allowed for us to process data on a small handheld device. Now, it's not like the graphical user interface on your phone, your smartphone you see today, but it was able to process complex equations that before then we had big giant rooms with vacuum seals, and you know the stories about the mainframe computers they used to have and IBM would create. So calculators were kind of the first start in that direction of hardware. And then so what I find really interesting, one of my favorite things here, is when the World Wide Web was actually announced for the public. And internet for everybody. And it was in 93, and it basically was as a dial-up modem, and you could connect with people and talk to your friends and have pen pals and share simple documents. It wasn't as advanced as we know today, but it was available for everybody. And lo and behold, in 94, and I know it says 97 right there, the next one for the Amazon, the rise of web commerce. And what I mean by 97, that's actually when Amazon announced their IPO, or they went public. But in 94, Jeff Bezos actually started his bookstore, right? His online bookstore we know as Amazon. And so if you look at that, a year after the internet was available, Jeff, like many others, took opportunity and they went after it. And lo and behold, it worked out for him. Hopefully for a lot of those people at that time. But a few years later, we saw massive growth within the company, and Amazon, as it is today, has so many things more than just selling books that hats off to all those that helped create it. And so I want to jump forward a little bit ahead even more to when social media came into place. In 2005, Facebook was created and revolutionized how we share content, media, and entertainment with each other. Now, there's a bunch of other social media apps we see today, and even what I've created here has some social aspects to it in terms of social feeds and user profiling, but I am not trying to compete or create something to compete with that's already out there. I'm just trying to utilize the user profiling to be able to attach users to interactions within the system itself. So the social media aspect of XOM is important for signing in and getting access, but it's not necessarily the main reason to use it. It's more of a tool or an experience to help you further your search for products and things of interest. So 2007, another favorite moment we all can share is remembering when Jobs came up on the stage and showed us the iPhone for the first time and the app system and the user face. I'll never forget that video when I watched it. And I just, another testament in time of how revolutionary that was. Now, there's been a lot of renditions of the iPhone since then, and I've probably had 11 or 12, and I'm on an iPhone 12, so I probably wouldn't be able to handle iPhone 1 anymore because I'm such a technology fanatic and a media guy that I use my iPhone 12 for my media creation along with that stuff like everybody else does. So, but it does really set a standard for what you can do with mobile technologies and the hardware available in this day and age. So moving on, in 2014, we saw a rapid growth of the internet, and that just means more people from around the world were connected ever before because of smartphones and devices that allowed for people to use a cellular service to communicate instead of having to dial up and do the old school methods of communicating. And so this really, made us want to double down and really expand our resources, which we did, and we put up more networking, more towers, and more you can go farther out in the world and get connected. And you see nowadays new systems like SpaceX, Starlink, and some other companies doing stuff where you can directly access internet from satellites for a reasonable cost. And so the revolution of that is also an amazing thing that happens over time. And so the last two items on this first page are just talking about what happened recently in the last few years. First being the HoloLens was introduced by Microsoft, which gave us the ability to visually see augmented 3D items in front of us in our space using LiDAR and other spatial mapping methods. And immersive ads became a thing in terms of starting advertising within those spaces. So what does this all mean for us? Because now we're in 2021, we have these new systems like XOM out there being created and the metaverse and all these things. Well, it means that there are some things to think about. And so on the next page here, I just have a quick write-up of some of those things I think are interesting to think about. Now, I will note that this is biased towards me being a tech-centric person. You may not all agree with some of this stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make a point that there is room to improve and recreate systems that better serve us in this day and age. And so the information age as we know it today is disorganized in places. And there's so many layers over the years that have been stacked up that we need to redefine and employ mobile and immersive experiences that can better serve us in getting that data in front of us. I always say that I should say that expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words, is how I kind of talk about XOM. XOM is worth not 1,000 pictures, but a lot of pictures, right? You can cram a lot more information in an immersive space. And so that is kind of my way of taking all this data and crunching into a place where you can utilize it and better serve customers or users alike. So with those systems over the years, they become sluggish. So we have to streamline these systems and maintain a more intuitive process to where the handoffs can limit the amount of stress on hardware, software, networks with the massive amount of people using them. Also, as time goes on, some platforms become more restrictive as they grow and they get expanded outwards. So we need to unbound those restrictions, and we need to generate more access to open content and resources so people can deploy media and also products the way they want to, and the freedom to create within these environments. And the internet, for somebody that is a media designer and creative person, there are some sites that are very ordinary, right? We just have information, some pages, and there's a structure there, but they don't really excite people. And it really, nowadays, you really have to go the extra mile to get somebody on your site or to a page or URL somewhere you want them to see what you're trying to offer, and you gotta wow them in some way, whether it's visuals or enticing them with something that benefits them. It has to be there. So futuristic experiences, exciting the audience with vibrant animations, media content, stuff I know, but there's so much more stuff out there you can do to make that happen. And lastly, we all know that the world is unpredictable, and surprisingly, it's unpredictable when we don't expect it or all the time, right? It just happens. And today, my power went out, and I was supposed to broadcast today and this afternoon, and my power went out this morning, so I delayed it to this evening, which is not a big deal, but I couldn't help the Mother Nature, right? On that same note, there's a lot of systems that are unpredictable because they're outdated, and there's a lot of human error in place. There's a lot of machines that can break down or not maintain. So we have to create a system where we can automate and deploy fully managed environments, I should say systems, right? I'm trying not to use the same word over and over here, but to streamline the processes in companies so that we can scale with ease. And that really is where Experience Over Media came about, and our immersive automation process itself. So I talked a little bit about what the steps are, but essentially with the immersive automation process, we are able to deploy products and broadcast and social media content and in environments, and then streamline the real version to the person through experience from delivery and payment options, and using the mappings and API and a lot of the tech that we've built into this. So I won't necessarily go over this list because I talked about it, but essentially we can capture, configure, and customize these environments, and then create interactions with the user and get feedback so we know what they're doing, and then use the same systems to integrate a set primary purchasing and delivery method to them, where we can then deliver stuff in many forms and functions. Now, a lot of this stuff I'm talking about isn't new, right? Amazon, as we all know, which does all of this, they're trying to do all this, right, with drones and autonomous deliveries along with partners. And so I am really looking into what they're doing really well, and I personally think Amazon's logistics in terms of delivery is the best that they're so good at it. But all the other companies are doing well. They're all improving their systems and updating their transparency between working with customers and understanding what it takes to actually get stuff to move around. So how we deliver stuff will probably be traditional in terms of building this out, but I also am looking into and working on autonomous delivery stuff as well. Next week I am going to be building a drone with a flight controller that allows us to deliver stuff through the mapping systems. And I also have some custom mailer boxes that I have designed for XOM that is going to be attached to the drone, and we're going to do a little demo within the system of once you order an item, it can be deployed to the person on location, and that'll be a fun little demo. I'll do the build, and then I'll do a demo, like a live demo, somewhere outside probably. And so that's something to think about in terms of how we get this to people. And then lastly, that last line I said, future-proof experience. Right now we're trying to figure out ways, SpaceX and Blue Origins and Virgin Galactic are all trying to find ways to get people in space and get stuff up there. And so a system that allows us to cram a lot of information in a small space, like being in the vacuum of space, would be good to have some immersive tools and UIs and developments that we can order and actually distribute some kind of process through these rockets that are being created and other means of transportation. So if you want to learn anything more about these emerging technologies, I've included a few links here. You can go ahead and check out our XOM app site, and you can also sign up for the beta. I have a few other docs I'm going to talk about real quick that are linked here. We have a provisional patent for XOM that I filed a few months ago, I want to say, and so that is linked there. You do need to request access to this stuff, but this doc goes into detail about what we are doing, the different components, along with a list of all the aspects I've been talking about in greater detail. So if you're interested in XOM or other stuff like this, you can go ahead and check that out. And then the other link I have is geared towards more just DigiFX as a whole. And it really just fine-tunes, or I shouldn't say fine-tunes, but it showcases all the products and things and assets and portfolio items that DigiFX has. I call it a repository list. It could be a directory, but essentially it's for partners, investors, people that are interested in what we're doing and maybe want to collaborate. You can also request this repository. It is in the bottom of the agenda there. And within here, I have a bunch of stuff for DigiStudios, digistudios.live, which is what I'm broadcasting on right now, and Oasis Core, which is very similar to a lot of this stuff, but it's more AR gaming and geomapping. And I actually have an overview on LinkedIn and on the internet that you can read, which talks a lot about that, which I'm just going to show you real quick. There you go. That's the overview. It's a bunch of stuff very similar and very relevant to the marketplace. And then lastly, there's a bunch of stuff about experience of media, like the value props and the industry use cases, and a bunch of things that are relevant to what we're talking about. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys really enjoyed taking a look at what we're trying to do here. And the only other thing I'll show you real quick is I'll just tell you where you can find videos in the future. If you go to the internet, and I'm just full screen, let me go ahead and get my URL out here. DigiStudios.live is where I usually post all my videos. These are being broadcast on YouTube, so obviously you can go there. But I tend to embed them here, and then funnel outward. You can just scroll down there, and there's a live stream library of all my stuff I've created over the years. And you can see right here, there's a list of stuff of me building a lot of projects and doing different things. And so I encourage you to check that out. And so let me just go ahead and just pause that so it's not making noise there. And so that's pretty much it. I really do appreciate anybody that is tuning in. to checking this out. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and there's a lot more to come. And so this is just a sneak peek of what XOM's capabilities are and what we plan to do with it. But like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can go with distributing experiential products and showcase the application as a whole. And so we just are continually focusing on our goals at hand to help to get this out to the public and in people's hands to start using right away. So go ahead and sign up, and go ahead and reach out if you have any questions regarding Experience Over Media. And I will leave it at that. This is Nate Millett from DigiFX, and I want to thank you all for joining me. Until next time, see you later.